Hello. So I'm Dr. Celia McIntosh, duly certified nurse practitioner, owner and founder of Macintosh Advocacy and Consulting. And I've been getting a lot of questions about how to navigate toxic workplace culture. We know that dealing with a toxic boss or a coworker can be incredibly draining. Okay. But sometimes the best way to get through it is to dance it out. And I don't mean literally. Okay. So today I posted a framework outlined as dance. And it's really 5 tips to help you navigate your toxic workplace culture. So we're going to jump into starting with the first one. The first one is D, also known as detach emotionally. We know that it's easy to take toxicity personally, especially if there's a lot of favoritism within the organization or the department that you work in. But you need to remember that the behavior says more about them than it does about you. And really practicing emotional detachment by setting boundaries mentally and emotionally is going to be helpful. The other thing that we do know is that when you attempt to set boundaries within these environments, that they tend to retaliate against you. So you want to focus on the facts of your work, what you were hired to do, focus on that and not their mood swings because they're going to forever change. And there's going to be a lot of negative comments. This often, like I said, detaching emotionally helps you maintain your sanity, and really helps prevents their negativity from really controlling your feelings or ruining your day or your week. Okay. So the second one is A, to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Not every battle is worth fighting for. You have to really pick your battles. Okay. And that's one of the things that I have noticed, that, not all those disagreements are worth engaging with. Sometimes engaging with the toxicity only feeds the situation and really drains your energy, right? And there are some toxic individuals in organizations that often just want to bait you. Okay, they want to see what your response is going to be. They're going to see if they can get under your skin, and they're going to push, 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 push. Okay, so hence you have to set boundaries. So choosing your battles wisely. And then, of course, if a comment or behavior doesn't directly impact your work or your reputation, then consider letting it go. Okay, because like I said, responding to it just fuels the fire, and then they're going to deny, deny, deny. Okay, that's not how they meant it. Okay, so you don't even want to get into that rat race. You want to use silence or calm responses to really disarm the negativity and really to protect your energy. But you want to also avoid engaging in the gossip, in the arguments, in the emotional outbursts, because when you respond prematurely to situations, then you lose your credibility, right? Number three is you want to navigate things professionally. Even if your coworker or boss is difficult, you want to maintain a level of professionalism that aligns with the organizational foundation, what they're founded on in terms of their mission, their vision, and their values. Okay. So you want to maintain a level of professionalism, and that's going to be key. Now, we know that there's a lot of different standards on the word professionalism, and we know that it's often based in a lot of racism and different things. But there's still a certain level of professionalism that you have to withhold as an employer of an or of a institution that aligns with their mission values, okay, and their vision. So at the end of the day, you still have to maintain some level of professionalism, okay? And what that really means is keeping your tone respectful. Now, I know that Black women are often tone policed, okay? But like I said, for the sake of this conversation, we're saying maintaining a professional tone, where your communication is clear. So to mitigate a lot of the different misinterpretation, even though we know there's going to be room for that. This is not only going to preserve your reputation, but it also keeps you in control of your narrative. Okay. And really, like I said, avoiding the gossip and the venting in ways that could backfire. There's a lot of discussion around families, one big happy family place, and we know that often does not exist. We know that, you can have great coworkers, but you also have to be mindful of the things you're saying to them that that may become ammunition later because it works for their benefit. Okay. Because we know sometimes people have ulterior motives and you don't know what their rationale is. You don't know what their why is. Some, maybe they get a better schedule if they, do certain things. Some maybe they get promotions, so you don't know what the impetus behind their behavior is. So you have to be mindful of what you're venting about because vents go out of rooms. Okay. um, you have the next one is the fourth one is C. You want to confide in a trusted ally. Okay, we know that you're not going through this alone. It often does feel like that because you don't have these conversations with other individuals, so you don't know if other people are experiencing. But you need to also find support outside of the environment. Whether that's friends, families, mentor. Everyone needs a protective person. Okay. And like I said, that could be a therapist, it could be a family member, it could be a mentor. So finding someone outside the organization, having your tribe or your squad that you can have these dialogues with, or you can find a coach. Like myself, I focus on coaching around toxic workplace culture. So Dr. Celia McIntosh. So if you're looking for a coach to navigate this work environment, then you can DM me. And they can also really help you see the situation more objectively because sometimes when you're in the situation, you feel like there's just so many things coming at you. So you can only see it through your lens. But if you get another person, maybe they can give you a different perspective. Okay. And then, of course, building a supportive network is going to be vital to your growth, your resilience, to safeguarding your mental health. Okay. And the last one here is to empower yourself. But this E could stand for three various things. So when we think about empowering yourself, it's really focusing on your growth, your goals, and your self care. Is the organization, is the job that you're at helping you with your professional growth? Okay. If it's not, then you have to evaluate it. Okay. Evaluate why you're there and if it still aligns with your why, because it's okay if that changes over time. You just need to know what it is. Number two, does it align with your goals? Okay. Because oftentimes, the goals that you had when you started your first, your career in the beginning may not be the same goals that you have towards the middle or to the end. So you need to evaluate them. And then, of course, like I said, self care. So the E can stand for empower, but it can also stand for evaluating. And then, I'm using this challenging environment as a motivation to develop new skills and really seeking new opportunities or plan your transition if needed. So now the E can also stand for exit. Okay. Um, so you do have some different options. You can empower yourself by, like I said, focusing on your growth, your goals, your self care. You can evaluate those things as well to see if they align with your current professional goals, if you're growing within the organization, and really help to flush out your why. And then if it's not, then you can exit stage left, like Beyonce said. Okay. So you want to remember this because the situation doesn't define your worth or your future. You want to empower yourself to essentially by setting boundaries. Okay. Boundaries are going to be huge. Okay. Because if you don't set boundaries, then they don't set boundaries, then we got problems. Okay. And then you have a lot of toxicity and it's going to be hard really navigating that. Okay. And then, of course, lack of accountability. So a lot of people feel like they're being punked in their environment because things have been normalized for so long, nothing's being done about it. So then, like I said, there's not a lot of accountability. Remember that the best way to survive a toxic workplace is to really dance it out. And what I mean, I'll go back over these principles in terms of the dance framework. It's to detach emotionally, avoid unnecessary conflicts, navigate professionally. You want to see, confide in trusted allies, and you want to empower yourself, or evaluate your current situation, exit if needed. Okay. So I'm Dr. Celia McIntosh. For many of you who don't know me, I help individuals navigate toxic workplace cultures, build confidence, courage, and self advocacy, empowering them to form the environment or to transition out of it to a healthier environment. So if you want to work with me, DM me. We will take it from there, and I will help you control your work life and really give you some strategies around that. So, thank you.